Hey everybody, welcome to Overkill Global. I get to do my own scene report today, and it's on something I love. It's called True Finnish Doom. For this scene report, we're gonna do my own personal top 5. We're gonna talk about some of those Patreon picks, and we're doing an interview with a local expert. Let's get going. I think it goes without saying that Finland is super well known for heavy metal. According to science, it has more metal bands per capita than any other country in the world. Check out this graphic. That being said, I don't think there's enough acclaim for the Finnish True Doom scene, and so we're gonna take a deep dive in. Now for some ground rules. This video is about True Doom, and when I say that, I mean the circle of True Doom that was defined by Earl of Void, the drummer for Reverend Bizarre, in a 2002 manifesto. That means no death doom, no blackened doom, no psychedelic doom, no experimental doom. This is a very specific sound, and because of that, in this video, we're not gonna be talking about important Finnish bands that also fall under Doom's umbrella. So, what do I know about Finland? I have dual citizenship in the country, speak a little bit of the language, and I've traveled there and have lived in Helsinki and plan on going back soon. So aside from that, there's amazing metal bars and record stores. I've got a lot of family there, so I quite enjoyed the deer blood pancakes that we've been making. Before we get into my picks, we asked a local about their thoughts on the Finnish True Doom metal scene.
Hello, it's Kimi Kärki from Finland. I was asked to talk about the Finnish doom metal scene. It's underground music here. I mean, my old band, Reverend Bizarre, we did quite well in the charts for a while, but I think it was just an anomaly. What I would consider unique about Finnish doom metal, something to do with Finnish mentality, kind of, I wouldn't call it isolated, but kind of people are more reserved and quiet. We have long winters, very dark winters, endless darkness in the winter, endless light in the summer. So there are kind of extreme weather conditions in a way. Maybe some of that is also visible or audible in Finnish doom metal. I was asked to introduce one album, maybe recommended. I chose this band from Oulu called Wolf's Head. They have their debut album out. It's called Leaden. Check it out. It's very kind of basic elemental riffage based, almost barbaric, but there's a definite pentagram vibe there, and I do enjoy it a lot, so check it out.
On to the reviews. Heads up, these are not scientifically ranked. It's not best to worst or worst to best, anything like that. We're just talking about 5 awesome albums from this scene. Let's go. The first album that we're gonna talk about is one that is near and dear to my heart. It is the newest album by Spiritus Mortis. It's called The Year Is One, and it came out in 2016 via Svart Records. Spiritus Mortis formed as Rigor Mortis way back in 1987 and then renamed themselves and didn't put out their debut until 2004 in a remarkably long story that is quite similar to Pagan Altar and Pentagram. We're gonna listen to what I think is the best song off their hands down best record.
Forever I wander among the graves. I adore the mystery beneath. Tombstones and catacombs. I am a name on your funeral wreath.
This album, to me, personifies everything about Finnish True Doom that really works. There's these really evocative, sexually charged lyrics. There's these crushing, thunderous riffs and drums. There's beautiful poetry and just all together, it's this wonderful package. And really, this band holds a strange distinction because very few bands get better and better as they age. And Spiritus Mortis is one of those acts. They have gone through a handful of vocalists over the years, but they had someone very important join them on their record, The God Behind the God, which I also would have picked, but I do think that The Year Is One is better than this one. That vocalist is Sami Heinonen from Reverend Bizarre. And I'm really curious to see what they do with their next record, simply because Sami is no longer in the band, but musically, they've finally gotten to that point where I think that they just really kick ass. My skull rating? I'm giving this 5 out of 5. It's a masterpiece. I'm gonna use that word. I'm gonna use it a few times in this review. The next record that we're talking about is Wandering Midget. Their record is called From the Meadows of Opium Dreams. It came out in 2012 via Eyes Like Snow. Fairly certain that this terribly named band got their name from the 1988 sword and sorcery masterpiece Willow, which I highly recommend that you watch with a loved one. They're so great! I love Willow! And they formed in 2005 in Lappeenranta, Finland. They have 2 full lengths, 2 splits, 2 demos, and 1 compilation to their name. This band absolutely excels at making these incredibly lengthy, psychedelic extended compositions. The song that you just heard, called Follow the Forest Lights, is a 20-minute long song, and this album itself has 4 tracks, and it's 55 minutes, but it never drags. And I think that's because, in particular, the vocals are just really beautiful, and they flow really nicely in the context of the record. And this band, they have a great discography. They also have this release called I Am the Gate. I really enjoy this one as well. And altogether, I would highly recommend that you listen to some Wandering Midget, despite the shitty name. I personally think that this is Wandering Midget's best album, and it's beautiful, and I would like to see where they go with the next release. So I'm giving this one 4 out of 5. The next record that we're going to talk about is one that I also love. I've said that a lot. This one is 2. It's by Minotauri. Came out in 2007. Minotauri is in the big 3 of Finnish doom alongside Spiritus Mortis and Reverend Bizarre. They formed in 1995 in, and sorry for butchering this, Äänekoski, and they have 2 full lengths and 9 releases to their name. They broke up in 2007. Man, that is the best breakup song ever written. Minotauri is a bit exceptional in the context of Finnish doom because they evoked a more simplistic barbarian style of the genre that I would definitely thematically place in common with Pentagram's Relentless and also with the Gates of Slumber and their album Conqueror. They really have this great vocal style due to their bassist and vocalist Ari, who has this really strong low register crone. On their second record, they hardly stray out of the territory that they explored on their debut, but that's part of its strength. Anyhow, this album is pulled together with some really great samples. Sounds like it was recorded in a haunted graveyard at night, and yeah, it's just really fun, kind of punky doom metal, and it works really well. I'm giving it 4.5 out of 5 skulls. If anyone has this and they want to sell it, please sell it to me and do not check the price of it on Discogs. The next record that we're going to talk about is Cardinal's Folly. The album is called Deranged Pagan Sons. Came out in 2017 via 9 Records and Tupelo Records. Cardinal's Folly formed in Helsinki in 2004 as Coven, and then they renamed themselves in 2007. And they, quite frankly, are probably the most active band within the Finnish true doom scene. They already have 4 full lengths and a whole shitload of other releases to their name. Here's one of their better known songs from the album. Deranged Pagan Sons is a fun record that never strays far from the point. This band very much loves classic doom a la Pentagram or Reverend Bizarre. And I have to give a lot of props to this band for actually being active, because as you've probably noticed, a lot of Finnish doom bands are very insular and they don't travel out of the country much. I like this band and I gotta give them props for actually being active, but I do think that a lot of their songs sound a lot like their other songs, so I'm giving this one 3.5 skulls out of 5. So you've heard me talk for quite a long time about bands that came in the wake of Reverend Bizarre. For the final album that we'll discuss, In the Rectory of the Bizarre Reverend, came out in 2002 via Sinister Figure Records. It's not necessarily the best in the band's discography, but it is the one that kicked off the movement of Finnish true doom. Appropriately, the song you're gonna listen to, it's called Burn in Hell.
I hope you burn in hell, because you're an evil man. Your heart belongs to the devil. When will you understand?
As you can hear, this record sounds fucking massive. It's so big, it's so full, and it's 3 dudes. Earl of Void, Peter Vicar, and Albert Witchfinder. These guys are geniuses. They are responsible for so much musical output. Altogether, this record was very hard to pick. It's not even my favorite Reverend Bizarre album. That one actually goes to So Long Suckers. And the reason why I say that is because this is full of 15 to 30 minute long tracks, and I literally fell in love with my boyfriend to this album. So I am completely biased about it, as I am about the entire band. But altogether, In the Rectory of the Bizarre Reverend, it really set the scene for Finnish doom, for doom metal altogether, and I think it really helped trigger a renaissance. It is one of the most influential doom metal albums of all time, and I wouldn't hesitate to call it one of the most influential metal albums of all time either. Reverend Bizarre basically spawned this entire scene, and there's all these bands that I haven't talked about yet. There's Stone Ship, there's Maze of Roots, there's Ritual Mist, there's John the Baptist. All those bands are very inspired by this band, and they all have fabulous releases that I wish I could have talked about today, but we have limited time. So for all those reasons, because this album and this band spawned an entire movement in a country that resonates to this day, I'm giving it 5 skulls out of 5 here on Overkill Global. Now we're gonna discuss the honorable mentions as chosen by the Patreon poll. You guys are smart. You picked a Reverend Bizarre release, and that one was, woo! Oh, that could have been tragically disastrous. Sorry, I always put my records like that, so when I DJ, they're easy to slide out. This one is Volume 2, Crush the Insects, and it is definitely the most commercially successful Reverend Bizarre record, and I think that that's solely because of their hit, Doom Over the World. Great song. I've actually covered it in my band Smolder, and we love it. And obviously, I'm kind of a crazy Reverend Bizarre fan. But yeah, that one would have definitely applied as well. I think so would have So Long Suckers. Other records that you guys mentioned were Swallow the Sun, Songs from the North 1, 2, and 3. For the last album that you guys picked, which was Halatar, No Stars Upon the Bridge. And that's a relatively new record, also released by Svart Records. Excellent band, but very crushing, mostly death doom, I would say. Thanks everyone for your comments. We are now finished. And I'm really excited for your recommendations in the comments, because if I could hear 1,000 more albums that sound exactly like this, I would be fucking pumped. Hey.
Fight those who enslave. Unification or death. Take a